This video is about all the famous people and celebrities who passed away in 1972 in the United States. This is the 8th episode. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. Edna Goodrich. She was born in December 1883 and she died in May 1972. Her age was 88 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. Edna Goodrich was an American Broadway actress, Florodora Gold, author, media sensation during the early 1900s. At one point, she was known as one of America's wealthiest and best-dressed performers. She was married to Edwin Stacy of Cincinnati, Ohio, and later Nancy Goodwin. Upon reaching adulthood, Edna and her mother moved to New York City, where both found work as chorus girls. Edna Goodrich joined the cast of Florodora musical as one of the famed sextettes, all of whom were extremely beautiful, 5 feet 4 inches and 130 pounds. Out of more than 70 women who became a Florodora girl, Edna was one of a handful who achieved lasting fame. It was as a sextet that Edna Goodrich became involved in the Harry Kendall Thaw murder trial, which was labeled Trial of the Century by William Randolph Hearst's newspapers. Thaw killed architect Stanford White during a performance at Madison Square Garden over Mr. White's relationship to Elvin Nesbit. It was reported that Edna Goodrich had introduced fellow Florodora chorus girl Nesbit and White during an intimate meeting in White's apartment. Dan Blocker. He was born in December 1928 and he died in May 1972. His age was 43 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was pulmonary embolism. Dan Blocker was an American television actor and Korean War veteran who played Hoss Cartwright in the NBC Western television series Bonanza. Blocker was drafted into the United States Army during the Korean War. In 1957, Blocker appeared in Three Stooges shorts, Outer Space Jitters, playing the goon billed as Don Blocker. He made 2 appearances on Gunsmoke, first as a cavalry lieutenant on August 24, 1956 in Alarm at Pleasant Valley, Season 1, Episode 39, and on October 18, 1958 in Thoroughbreds. He appeared in 1957 as Will in the episode A Time to Die of the ABC Warner Brothers Western series called 45. In 1957, Blocker was cast in episode of David Trott's NBC series The Restless Gun as the blacksmith and as a cattleman planning to take his hard-earned profit to return to his family land in his native Minnesota. In 1957, he had at least 2 roles as a bartender in an episode of the syndicated Western-themed crime drama Sheriff of Cochise, starring John Bromfield, and in the film Gunsight Ridge. John Shelton. He was born in May 1915 and he died in May 1972. His age was 56 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. John Shelton was a film and television actor known for appearing in crime and adventure films of the 1940s, often playing suave, charismatic roles. Shelton, also known as John Price, was born in Los Angeles, California. He was the grandson of creationist George McCready Price. Shelton was married 5 times. His first 4 marriages were childless and ended in divorce, while he and his 5th wife had 4 children before his death. He was married to Sally Sage from 1938 to 1940, actress Katherine Grayson from 1941 to 1946, Marty Stanley from 1946 to 1948, Elaine Winston from 1948 to 1953, and Lorraine Ludwig from October 3, 1953 until his death. He and Ludwig had 4 children together. Musician Tom Price is his son and singer Rachel Price is his granddaughter. He died mysteriously in a prison in Sri Lanka. John Shelton has about 40 acting credits, 38 movies, and 2 television series. Sidney Franklin. He was born in March 1893 and he died in May 1972. His age was 79 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Sidney Franklin was an American film director and producer. Franklin, like William C. DeMille, specialized in adapting literary works or Broadway stage plays. His brother, Chester Franklin, also became a director during the silent film era that's known for directing the early Technicolor film, The Toll of the Sea. Franklin's work on radio included directing the Screen Guild show in 1939. Walter Jackson Freeman. He was born in November 1895 and he died in May 1972. His age was 76 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was cancer. Walter Freeman was an American physician who specialized in lobotomy, wanting to simplify lobotomies so that it could be carried out by psychiatrists and psychiatric hospitals where there were often no operating rooms, surgeons, or anesthesia, and limited budgets. Freeman invented a transorbital lobotomy procedure. That transorbital approach involved placing an orbitoclast, an instrument resembling an ice pick, under the eyelid and against the top of eye socket. A mallet was then used to drive the orbitoclast through the thin layer of bone and into the brain. Freeman's transorbital lobotomy method did not require a neurosurgeon and could be performed outside of an operating room, often by untrained psychiatrists, without the use of anesthesia, by using electroconvulsive therapy to induce seizure and unconsciousness. In 1947, Freeman's partner James W. Watts ended their partnership because Watts was disgusted by Freeman's modification of the lobotomy from a surgical operation into a simple office procedure. Freeman and his procedure played a major role in popularizing lobotomy. He later traveled across the United States visiting mental institutions. Michael Blassie. He was born in April 1948 and he died in May 1972. His age was 24 at the time of his death, and he was killed in action in Vietnam War. Michael Blassie was a United States Air Force officer who was killed in action during the Vietnam War in May 1972. Prior to the identification of his remains, Blassie was an unknown service member from the Vietnam War buried at the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. After his remains were identified by DNA testing in 1998, they were reburied at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis County, Missouri. Blassie's unidentified remains were designated as the Vietnam Unknown Service Member by Medal of Honor recipient, United States Marine Corps Sergeant Major Alan J. Kellogg, Jr. during a ceremony at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii on May 17, 1984, and were transported aboard the USS Bruton to Naval Air Station Alameda. The remains were then spent to Travis Air Force Base on May 24th and arrived at Andrew Air Force Base the following day. Many Vietnam veterans, President Ronald Reagan and First Lady Nancy Reagan, visited Blassie as he lay in state in the United States Capitol. An army caisson carried his casket from the Capitol to the Memorial Amphitheater at Arlington National Cemetery on Memorial Day, May 28, 1984. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.